Last week, we brought you a pre-budget forum with business and community leaders. There's been a great response to the ideas and questions brought up in that forum. Tonight, we return briefly to our participants to get their views on yesterday's budget. Unfortunately, the Vice-Chancellor of the University of Tasmania, Peter Rathjen, was interstate and unable to appear.
I thought she did a good job. I thought the cuts she made yesterday were essential. But you can cut your way out of a problem. You can't cut your way to success. I think there's a large focus on let's get the problem fixed. And I think that we need to be looking beyond the problem to what the future really looks like. And I think that's another thing. I have a sense of optimism if we can not succumb to the mentality of being attached to the public purse. I'm not saying we literally are, but there is this mentality about if the public purse isn't there, then we're feeling separation anxiety. And I think that what we need to do is all catch the Mona syndrome and start showing some leadership, standing up ourselves, and those that can start investing themselves, not waiting for the government to do it.
Look, I think the economic restraint and the cost-cutting focus of the budget is good. I think for too long we've been living on a credit card environment within our state, and certainly I think on a national basis we're seen as a welfare state. So the prospect of being back in the black over the next few years with a genuine restraint in terms of our spending is great. The one thing that we're blessed from is that in dark economic times people are prepared to embrace change, which they wouldn't in more prosperous times. So I think, planning reform will be something that they probably will have the courage to do at the moment, and it's probably the least of their concerns in relation to other parties that will be more upset with education or health reforms. So I believe now is the time to start implementing those type of decisions that are going to take the economy forward, and if it ruffles a few feathers, I suspect the government will probably wear it, because they know if they don't, we're going to end up as an economic basket case and a welfare state for many years to come.
I would say that she's made some pretty necessary and fairly hard decisions. It was always going to be a tough budget, and I think it's how the departments go about managing those cuts and implementing them that's going to be critical to how we move forward. Tasmania has to start to become more efficient in the way that we deliver services in the public arena in Tasmania, and we have a long history of expecting to simply receive more money. We have to become more focused on how we can do it better. In terms of the education though, I think that just simply focusing on the school closures isn't enough. In the same way that we need to focus on how we deliver health more efficiently, the focus needs to be on how do we actually improve literacy and numeracy outcomes for our students, and how do we go about ensuring that we can help particularly primary school children improve those skill levels.
I understand tough budgets. I understand that we're spending more than we're saving, but I don't understand the disadvantaged becoming more disadvantaged. And there are a number of points in this budget. Firstly, the CPI increase for government programs has been set at 2.25%. So it seems to me a 2.25 CPI will go nowhere to addressing the increased costs for not-for-profit organisations like Colony 47, delivering programs into the community that the government has actually said they want delivered. I don't understand also the cutting of the rebate, the first home buyers, stamp duty rebate for first home buyers. We need extra supply in the housing market in Tasmania. What we need to do is encourage people to build homes. It stimulates employment and keeps people in the building industry employed, but it also moves people out of the private rental market into home ownership and frees up that private rental market for those who need housing, because obviously the supply is so low in Tasmania, and that's why rents are so high.
She said it was going to be a tough budget, and it turned out to be a tough budget. My only concern is that she has cut education, health and the police force. And let's just hope that these cuts don't affect the community in any way, and if they can make the planning scheme a lot easier, a lot simpler for people to understand, so we can attract the investors and the developers to Hobart. So once they come down, doesn't matter where you're building in the state, it's all under the same umbrella. And if we can make that an easier ride for investors and locals alike, I mean, that's going to help the community as well. So that's what we've got to start looking at now, and which way we can make it a lot easier for people to invest in Tasmania. And that's a good way to start it off, with planning.